Hi there, myself Vijay sir welcomes you back. It's very much pleasing to see you again. At the onset, I'm very much obliged to you all for showering tremendous response on my first video, What is a Sentence? Well friends, your response has boosted me to come with the second video on the kinds of sentences. Well dears, before starting our today's session, I would like to appeal those who have missed our first video, do watch that video, and for that please visit the description box. A link is there, tap it and watch that video, because that video on what is a sentence lays the foundation for today's session, the kinds of sentences. So friends, now let's start our today's session, the kinds of sentences. Friends, before dealing with this session, we have to get ourselves familiarized with some elements so that the kinds of sentences, this topic will be clear cut to all of us. Here comes the first element, subject. What is the subject? Well, subject can be a doer of an action or is something to be said about. Well, a subject can be either noun or pronoun. Let's take a couple of examples. The first one, Mark drinks milk calmly. And the second, Vijay is a good teacher. If we look at these two sentences, we'll come to know that in the first sentence, Mark is a doer of an action as he is drinking milk, so Mark is the subject. And in the second sentence, something is said about Vijay. That is, Vijay is a good teacher, so good teacher, this has been labeled to Vijay. That is, something is said about Vijay, so Vijay is the subject. Now, the subject is followed by verb. Verb describes an action as well as it tells or shows the state of a subject. If you look at the first sentence, drinks shows an action done by Mark, and in the second sentence, is tells the state of the subject Vijay. So in these two sentences, drinks and is are the verbs. Well, the verb is followed by the object. Object is something that receives the action done by the subject. Object receives action. Look at the first example. In this example, we have milk as an object because it receives the action of drinking done by the subject Mark. If you look at the second sentence, there is no object. Now, object is followed by adjective. As we all know, adjective is something that qualifies or adds into the noun. Look at the second example. Vijay is a good teacher. In this sentence, teacher is qualified by the adjective good. So good becomes the adjective which is telling something more, which is adding into the noun. And now is the last element, that is adverb. Friends, what the adjective does with a noun, so is done by an adverb with a verb. That is, an adverb describes the method or the manner of doing a specific action. or the adverb describes the manner or the method of the main verb. Look at the example. First example. In the sentence, calmly is an adverb which describes the manner of drinking milk by Mark. After having a glimpse at all these elements, let's come to our today's topic, the kinds of sentences. My friends, I would like to request you, do like, share, subscribe, and do hit the much coveted bell icon so that I could come with new topics to you. Now let's come to our topic, kinds of sentences. Well, though there are ample number of sentences according to various sources, but the experts advocate only of 4 types. These 4 types of sentences are, the first one is simple or assertive or declarative or statement sentence. Second, interrogative sentence that deals with questions. Third is an imperative sentence or command. And the fourth one is an exclamatory sentences. Now first, let's dissect all the sentences one by one. Here comes the first sentence, assertive or declarative or statement sentence. This is the most widely used form of a sentence. The sentence carries the structure subject plus verb, and it ends with a full stop or a period. Let's have an example. Donald wins. In this sentence, Donald is a subject and wins is a verb. So the sentence holds a structure of S plus V. Now friends, let's move a bit further and add a word, a prize in it. So the sentence becomes, Donald wins a prize. Here, a prize is an object as it receives the action from Donald. So the sentence structure becomes S plus V plus O, wherein S subject is Donald, V verb is wins, and O object is a prize. Now friends, we have seen these sentences in its affirmative or positive form. Now let's try to change all the sentences into negative ones. Let's take a couple of examples. First, he is a brilliant student. And second, Donald wins a prize. Well, so far the first sentence is concerned, it's very easy to make negative of it. Just put not after the auxiliary verb is and we get the negative form of it. That is, he is not a brilliant student. But friends, the same rule can't be applied to the second sentence. We have to import a corresponding proper auxiliary verb from outside the sentence. That is, we should choose either do or does or did, depending on the person and number of the subject and the tense of the sentence. In this case, the second sentence has Donald as a third person singular subject and the tense of the sentence is simple present tense. So the sentence becomes, Donald does not win the prize. In short, while showing the state of a subject, put not after the proper form of to be, and in case of action showing verb, put not after the proper form of do. And now, it is the interrogative sentences. Well, these interrogative sentences are further classified into WH interrogatives and yes/no questions. Let's take WH interrogatives first. These WH questions begin with one of the WH pronouns like what, where, why, when, how far, how long, and etc. And at the end, these sentences take a question tag. Let's see an example. What do you like? One more example. Why are you here? If we study the structure of these sentences, we come to know that the structure is WH word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb. The structure never changes but for the pronoun, WH pronoun, who. Most of the times, a direct verb is taken after who. For example, who are you? Who am I? Who killed the rat? And now, making negative of these questions. Well, friends, making negative of WH questions is an extremely easy task. Just put NT, that is the contracted form of not, after each auxiliary verb, and we get the negative form of these questions. For example, what do you like is changed into what don't you like? Why are you here is changed into why aren't you here? So easy a task, isn't it? And now it is the turn of yes/no questions. Well, friends, contrary to the WH interrogatives, these yes/no questions answer only either in yes or no, and hence they are yes/no questions. Take some examples. Are you Mr. Smith? Does he know the address? Can we make it? All these questions are answered either in yes or no. Well, friends, can you extract the structure from these questions? Well, it's very easy. It is auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb. Well, making negative of these yes/no questions is just a cakewalk. What we had to do, we should put just NT, that is the contracted form of not, after the auxiliary verb, and we have its negative form. For example, are you Mr. Smith is changed into aren't you Mr. Smith? I hope you can make the remaining sentences. All the best. Well, friends, let's see the third form, that is imperative sentences. Well, imperative sentences are used to convey the orders, commands, and requests. These sentences always begin with a verb, followed by an object. The subject is present in these sentences, but it is hidden, and the subject is always you. We'll see some examples. Shut the door. Bring me a glass of water. Cut the cake. In all these three sentences, shut, bring, and cut are the verbs, whereas the door, me a glass of water, and the cake are the objects. The subject, you, is present in all these sentences, but it is hidden. Making negative of imperative sentences is a super easy task. We'll see. Don't shut the door. Don't bring me a glass of water. Don't cut the cake. What did you do? We just put don't before the main verb and at the beginning of each sentence. And we frame the negative of the previous affirmative sentences. Friends, The structure of positive imperative sentence is we plus O, and of negative imperative sentence is don't plus we plus O. And now, it is the last type of sentence, exclamatory sentences. Well, we'll see a couple of examples. What an idea! How nice of you! These exclamatory sentences are used to convey our sudden expressions or feelings. The structure of this sentence is WH word plus a or an plus adjective plus noun or pronoun. And the second structure is how plus adjective plus noun or pronoun. Well, friends, these exclamatory sentences can be used with interjections like wow, hurrah, alas. See some examples. It is wow, how wonderful. Alas, what a tragic end. If we follow the structures of all these four kinds of sentences, I'm cocksure that you can make ample number of sentences with the help of all these structures. Well, friends, let's have some exercise. We have learned the four kinds of sentences, and the first exercise depends on that. You have to identify the types of sentence, and then you have to change its sense. That is, if the sentence is an affirmative or positive, you have to change it in negative, and vice versa. The second type of exercise is you have to change the sentences according to the instructions given in brackets. So let's start, and do ping your responses in the comment box. All the best. Well, friends, I hope this painstaking effort of mine will definitely ward off your fear of English language and instill confidence in you. If you feel so, then please like, share, subscribe, and please never forget to hit the much coveted bell icon to get the updates of new videos. Thank you.